Welcome all, welcome all. I'm your host Soli, and as always, we have just opened up the floor to just so many different roundtables, from dating lifestyles to business advice, and the one, the only, Jari Javana is
Hello.
is here, and I encountered her from a mutual friend, Bree Shoemaker, who's been on the show previously, and I was like, well, hey, she clearly has her voice, she clearly has her model, and I might as well just let her promote her brand.
Well, I definitely appreciate it because I have a lot to say.
Yes. And I
hmm
always love these chats. Is like anyone who says they got it all figured out, they're just kidding themselves. It's like,
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
how can you with different apps, different platforms? Pretty soon there's
hmm
going to be five new social media or video creating devices no one's heard of, but
Yeah, I'm
here they are
sure.
now. And they're changing their VPs and content. So pretty soon the blogs that are giving advice will be outdated within like the year, maybe even a month.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely do agree.
And but I love these round tables because we try to go beyond just the speculation and just actually just look at what we've read about and in our and read it back to each other in our voice. But so you've been at this for a while, and you're a graduate of Ithaca College in communication management. And
hmm
uh, why did you pursue just so many things from marketing to television and radio?
Well, it's just really funny because before I decided to go to college, my major was actually TV and radio.
Mm.
And then my minor was communication management and design. To be honest, I really don't really know what that meant because I was taking event classes because they had those
Mm.
because I love events. But before TV, I wanted to be an OBGYN
Oh,
because
nice.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor.
You
And
know,
yeah,
I
so
have family members who are going into that. It is, you
mhm.
pretty much know from that point on, like just how whether it clicks. You know, it's like,
Yeah, and the thing is, when I was in high school, I volunteered at one of our local hospitals in Maryland, called Holy Cross, and they had a program where we could, I guess they took high schoolers and we signed up, and if you wanted to be in different departments of the hotel of the hospital, then you could be there for the entire summer, I think.
mm.
It's still a little bit of a blur, but I wanted to be in labor and delivery. And I pretty much was working probably a couple of days of the week at the front desk, just checking people in and discharging people. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then eventually, after I got more experience in there, they allowed me to um, see actual births,
Oh
births.
man.
So I mean, that was very fascinating. I think what this is completely different than anything I'm doing now. But this was really fascinating to me because the one that I saw was a C-section and I was in the middle right behind the doctor and the med students were
Jeez.
on the side like they were standing back and I was just in the middle just like what's going on? And I can never forget the smell of like chopping or like sawing skin. I don't know, whatever the term is for that. And I was just like, I don't, there's a lot of smells in here. I don't know if I want to do this. And
Well,
then
and
for
at
some
least you
reason,
saw it in the fold, though, as opposed
I
to
did.
I'm unsure or I'm getting
hmm
too many opinions. Now I got to make a choice that I'm not sure
hmm
is the best one.
But it's funny because there was also, I think he was the surgeon that's in ops who does the C-sections, and he was giving me advice. And he's like, oh, you really have to want to do this, and it's a lot of work and blah, blah. I don't know if he was trying to sell it to me or tell me not to do it, but
Hmm.
whatever it was enough for me to be like, yeah, I don't really think I want to do this. Um, so I'm pretty sure my parents were like, what kind of sudden change is that you want to be in TV and radio? What kind of nonsense is that? But that's how I ended up in school. And to be honest, for the longest, I didn't even realize. I feel like when I was in college, I was experimenting a lot of different things. And this is part of where my entire creative journey happened. Um, because my major, it was TV and radio. Radio was mostly just audio production and learning how to edit audio.
Mm,
Um, but I always liked that more than being on camera. And my school also had a TV station, so all the students you could sign up for which show you wanted to be on and stuff. And I just never felt like I belonged at any of those.
it was too
And I was
robotic.
also real. It was, and I was just like, I don't really know y'all because I feel like I just wasn't as close to people within my school, that school of communications, as opposed to all my other friends were literally in health sciences and the other
Yeah.
stuff. And I was just the one creative one. And I'm like, look, I'm well rounded. Okay. I want to experience different things, but I just really wasn't inspired when I was there. However, I was also the president and choreographer of one of the dance teams. So I feel like I put a lot of my energy into that. And that was me learning how to edit audio better. And
Mm.
I love that because when I'm watching dances and I'm listening to music, I'm like, yeah, this should be a pause right here, and maybe an ad lib could go right here. And then I would be doing that and then play it for my team. And they're like, What is this soundtrack? I'm like, look.
You're like, and they're focusing on this lifestyle, and
Mhm.
you're getting out all the pie charts and the
I'm
PowerPoints.
like, you don't understand the vision, okay? Because that's just like how my brain was working. So a lot of my college years was mostly in audio production and also being afraid of being in front of the camera because I honestly hated being in front of camera. I
It's
was
a
behind the
very
scenes.
unusual thing. It's like you get this attention, and at the same time,
Hmm.
you you're too
It's
close
just a
to it.
lot.
Because
And
yeah,
like just people in when you're first starting off, and if you are a shy person too, then you're very self-critical of how you look,
yes,
how you sound. And I hated my voice
everyone will be
for the
like, "You did a great
longest.
job," and you're like, "Thanks," because
Like,
I'm getting up to here with it.
like I don't want to ever do this again. Oh my God. I hated it. But I thought I was really good behind the scenes, and that's what I was telling people forever. I'm like, I'm behind the scenes, behind the camera. I can produce it. Don't put me in front. However, I feel like a lot of people saw in me that that's what I would end up doing. It took me a very long time before I got there, but that's how that college
You're
years.
here now,
It's funny
and
because I've been telling my parents recently, I'm like, look, you seeing everything that I'm doing at Vision 127 now, I'm finally living out, I'm putting my degree to use. Okay.
it just took multiple steps, probably more than we liked, but
It
we're
took many, many years before that. And even then, that's just like the beginning of the journey because I haven't even gotten there. Hmm.
but at least you're comfortable just talking about this. I see so many who are like, they don't want to peel back the curtain at all.
Oh, I have no problem because um okay, I'll just give you the rundown of everything. So when I was experimenting during college, it first started off I was making Afrocentric jewelry, which was mostly bracelets, necklaces,
Mm.
and I was like, "Ooh, I can also sew." I'm not that great of a seamstress, but I was trying to create all this different stuff, but I realized that it was taking too long to do the stuff and it
Yeah.
was too much work to do it. And then my friends were helping me to make the bracelets and um we have a thing in Africa called waist beads and there's actual tiny beads. So can you imagine like a 30-inch string of
Yes.
beads that you have to like put? Oh my God. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. But everyone loved the stuff that I was doing, but I couldn't figure out how to actually monetize it. I mean, I
Mm.
was trying to sell it, but everyone's saying that they wanted it, but they never bought it. And I'm like, well, this obviously is not working. Um,
Yeah, that's a lot to take in. Is like half the time I don't even know how anyone gets an honest opinion if they're not even doing some stats or looking at the site
Mm-hmm.
traffic. Is like you got to unfortunately look at all different barriers. It's otherwise it's as
Mm-hmm.
helpful as like maybe a job interview where someone told you a white
Mm-hmm.
lie, you did good, just not who we're looking for. I'm like, but
Just not
really that's me,
enough.
or really
Yeah.
that's me being nice. You weren't right at all, and this could use a little work in this and that area, but because
Mm-hmm.
you were being nice, so to speak, you just misled us into
Yes.
thinking we got this part covered when you really just did me a complete disservice because now I'm going to repeat that formula at 5 more
Yeah.
networking events and it's a turnoff. It's not,
Yes.
I mean, and what do you think many can learn from job interviews now? Because so many times people would be like, ask this, ask that, and I would get cut off. Like if I didn't say this or that magic word, like is like
Oh.
not who they're looking for. Like you can say this and that, but they've already made up their mind that they're either doing a shortcut or they've been told strictly from above management, if they don't have this or if they don't get our attention, just, you know, good day. you know.
Well, to be honest, I don't really know because I struggled during interviews. Um, I moved to Dallas at the end of 2022 and I graduated from grad school in May.
You were coming post COVID out of
Yeah.
university. Man, that's
Um,
was there a lot of online courses?
well, it was actually hybrid because I graduated from college in 2019 and then
Oh, okay, gotcha.
COVID, and then I just felt so like useless. So then I applied to grad school and got in. So started in 2021. It was literally a 10-month program. And I did it so that I can actually learn marketing better because I'm like, I'm very entrepreneurial. I want this to work for me, but there's got to be something that I'm missing when it
Complying
comes
with
to
your already
marketing
common.
because yeah, and I mean, I feel like I did learn a lot of different things, but I feel like also a lot has changed in marketing since I was in school that I'm in
Mm,
debt for. But
yeah.
but it did take me a very long time to get a job. Um, because my best friend from since sixth grade, we moved here together, but she had moved to Dallas like 6 months before me, and she decided she wanted to move here. Her job already um had like transferred here, so she was already secured. But for me, I was struggling for so long.
Mm,
I didn't get my new job until October of last year. So I was doing, side gigs and stuff, but it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. I
jeez.
was just barely getting by to pay the rent. But I feel like I didn't even have that many interviews in that process. It was just a whole bunch of nothingness
Are you
until,
available versus do you want to do this
mhm,
or you're our guy,
or,
or you're our gal?
hmm and it was actually okay. So before I got this job, this was the third offer that I got. The first one was at some country club in Arlington somewhere.
Ah, jeez.
Um,
Bunch. I wouldn't even know.
I know. I even know how did, it was my roommate. She knew someone who was like, "Oh, they need someone to work there," um, and they were offering me like $18 an hour. But it was funny because when I met up with I guess the hiring, like the boss, she was first of all, she was younger than me. She was like 25 at the time. I was like, how the heck did your parents just gave this to you? Must be nice. This is great for you. But she was like, because you have a master's, she's like, that's the highest I can go. I said, what an insult.
Yeah, it and it's hard when we find that out. I mean, it's kind of like you don't have to be tall to be necessarily bright. You could be even dumber.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
interesting how we have all these other preconceptions that really don't have anything to do with anyone. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it
Because it
can
didn't seem to care enough.
it can be also intimidating. It's like, well, okay, regardless of your age, do you have the experience or do I have more experience, but I happen to be technically
Mm-hmm.
a step below?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like she was like, "You're probably too overqualified." I'm like, "Look, I need anything, not anything," because the second job offer I got was from I think a YouTuber had created a business
There were so
that
many of those in the 2010s. It was like, man, why did I go to college? This person just found me, I might have the degree, but they just summed up all these other shortcuts that I wish I had learned in class.
yeah. So the other offer I got was from this guy who's teaching how to, what is it called? To drop ship. And I guess he was successful like on YouTube and then decided I'm gonna create a whole service for this. And he had all these people in the office. It was, first of all, I was very confused because for the pay, it was it was like 6 days a week from 10 to 6. Really wasn't much flexibility in there.
Mm,
And I was just very much
that's
like,
rough.
are you sure? Like, I don't know. And when they gave me the offer out, I was happy that someone wanted me, but I also was like, uh, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I feel like I'm not going to have any freedom because what's the point?
Yeah, it's too
And
much all at
also,
once.
I'm doing all these other things with trying to build up my business and stuff. And you want me to also take up my weekends to teach people how to drop ship? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
hmm And
S-
then literally 2 weeks later, or like a few weeks later, is when I found my actual job and I applied on Indeed. I think the next
So
day I got a
responsive.
call. I got a response the next day from the operations, like HR. And I talked to her on the phone. The next day, she's like, "Can you come in for an interview?" Went in for the interview. They loved me. They're like, "Okay, do this assignment because it's the marketing and events." And they're like, they want to see how good my graphic design skills are. So I did the assignment and came back the following week to meet the boss and like another person um, on the team. I showed them the assignment. They were blown away. I think 2 days later, they gave me the job. And I was like, oh, this is what I needed. And now I literally love my job. It's very flexible because they're even very supportive of what I'm doing with, my business and stuff. So that's great. But I feel like when you're in the process of when you're in the job market, there's moments where you just feel like you should just take anything. But I also feel like if you do wait it out and if you are a little bit more specific on what you're actually looking for, you will find that.
Nice.
Because it literally came out of nowhere, and I'm eternally grateful for the job I have because now I feel like I can actually have some money to do the stuff that I actually want to do.
There you go. So this was with the after school all stars in North Texas.
hmm
Nice. And they worked with AmeriCorps and a bunch of other recreational facilities. What do you think makes them stand out?
So After School All Stars is a nonprofit in Deep Ellum. Actually, there's a whole neighborhood of nonprofits in Deep Ellum.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
It's very random, to be honest. It's like near Greenlight and Bottle Blonde or all the places that people party
Hmm.
at. It's right behind it. But it's a program that really focuses on middle school children in DFW. So we have 7 schools, um, 5 in Dallas, no, 4 in Dallas, 1 in Fort Worth, and 2 in Lancaster. And
Wow.
it's literally just an after school program for 2 hours a day from Monday through Thursday. And we always just talk about the fact that middle school is an age where
Yeah.
the kids are kind of just left behind because there's a lot of programs for elementary school and
Use
high
your
school.
imagination, which is as good as saying, don't do anything I don't approve of, but I haven't told you what I do or don't approve of. It's like, well, kids got to be able to do something to
hmm
free their mind in between doing homework and going to class and everything else that kids do, eating,
hmm
chores, social life.
Yeah. Because this is also the age range where kids are they're going through puberty,
Hmm.
and they're just suffering. They have a lot of attitude. There's just a lot going on. And if there's no adults actually trying to mend
Yeah,
how they're reacting, they're gonna go to high school just unprepared for almost getting into adulthood. So that's what we do. That's why I'm like, I really do like what we're doing, because I'm like, okay, I think about myself. I mean, I feel like I was okay in middle school. A lot of people have terrible experiences, but
I
like,
lucked out, but yeah, I mean, not everyone
I'm
was
like,
fortunate. And there were so many
yeah.
people. I'm like, what happened? Did you carjack a car? Did you
Hmm.
do something dumb? Did you drop out? It's like you have so much potential.
Hmm. So a lot of what the programs that we do, we teach them droning. There's a lot of like coding that they have to learn. There's
Man,
health and wellness. So there's cooking that
cooking is an
good. They can learn how
invaluable.
to cook.
So many
Some of the
social
kids
class teaches.
are, yeah. Um, what else? There's sports. I'm trying to think, because we just had a big event of like our four main things that we do. Yeah, art. Just all the different things, so kids can just experience different sides of what's happening in adulthood, what they may want to do in their career, and it don't. And we're also not trying to tell the kids that, oh, you have to do this in order to get into college. But we're like, but it can also be whatever career path you want to go to. It don't have to be college. So we're just
Bingo.
trying to give them the necessary skills. Because I think about, I feel like in 20 years from now, I'm like, will kids still be going to college? Like, will my kids be very entrepreneurial
Ah,
too? Like, I don't know.
good question.
Yeah,
It's a
so
lot to take in. Um,
it is a lot.
what's do you think is a very underrated like confidence booster that makes you just get up in the morning, get ready to do all the various promotional videos, and even organize some of your own interviews on your Instagram channel?
My own motivation? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
you're pretty energetic, I'd say.
well, I think because I've been trying to, well, over the years, I've been teaching myself how to be more in front of the camera. And I've also been in a space where I'm learning more about myself and what it is that I want my audience to see,
Mm,
because I'm a creative myself. And oftentimes, like, I'm doing all these interviews, but also, like, I have a lot of other creative things that I do. But I'm looking at what I'm creating to be, this is what I've been looking for. So I'm gonna figure out how to create it. And I feel like now it's finally getting to the point where more people are noticing it and are appreciating my vision for everything.
hey,
So that's really just what just keeps me motivated. And especially when people are excited, because I have people traveling to me like 40 minutes or more, wherever they are, just to do an interview. And
jeez.
and at first, like, I was like, why? No, no, don't do that. But like, I also appreciate it. But a lot of creatives that I have met, they say that people just want to talk about themselves. I'm like, you right, because I do too. So, so I'm like, if you want to come and just chat with me, because the interviews are not very long, and I'm actually trying to make them shorter. Um, but this people are enjoying it so
It's a
far,
tough
so
balancing act.
it really is. But I feel like that's just part of the motivation, just other people finally recognizing what it is that I'm doing. And
Sure.
yeah.
Well, and what do you think? What do you like most about all these Instagram tools that weren't here a few years back? It's like now we got different ways to add text, video,
Hmm.
and even different resolutions and stuff you can do just from the tip of your phone.
Well, I appreciate that it's a lot easier to edit. if you are not someone who was trained in editing.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I remember when I was first starting off, and especially when I was also trying to look for jobs, and they'd be like, "You have to have all this experience in editing on Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro," and I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't pay attention to that class in school. Like, I didn't think I was going to end up using it. But now we have tools like CapCut. I use Canva for absolutely everything. You can even edit
I'd tell
videos
you.
on
Yeah.
Canva. So I'm like, there's a lot of more opportunities now for people to create. And we're also in a digital age where I feel like things don't have to be as pristine either. Like you can literally do the bare minimum and people will still look at your
If you
video.
get anyone's attention, that's already kind of a win.
Yeah. So I'm like, but for me, I still want to be able to provide quality
True.
because I want what I'm creating to last and not it just being something that people are like, oh, that's what she used to do back in the days. Like, no, I want them to come back to the first episode of when creators connect and be like, oh my gosh, look at where she's grown since then, you know? So
Yeah, just as long as anyone's showing any kind of progress, hopefully someone's seen it.
mhm.
So there's all kinds of things that kind of take up this whole side of things, from boosting the marketing strategy to showing behind the scenes stories, making a meme every Monday, uh,
Mhm.
doing other trends, and engaging with a Q&A session. And there's this thing now called highlights, on all these social platforms. What would you say you recommend the most? Obviously, you got to do a bit of all that and make time for it somehow. But
Mhm. I don't think I really recommend just one thing because I think it really just depends on what your business is and also if you have the motivation to continue to create because I feel like now I'm finally making more videos and taking it more serious. I used to just complain and be like, I only posted one video a week. And I'm like, no one's looking at my page. No one's following me. Like,
it's
no one
not enough.
cares,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, I see so many videos of people saying that you have to just keep on creating. And I'm always creating for myself. I'm creating because this is what I want to see. And then the more I do it, the more I'm like, maybe I can tweak this and then start doing this a little bit differently. And which is fine. But I do think that a lot of people just have the idea where you have to just do all the different things. Like you can boost posts, but sometimes I feel like Instagram, you're boosting it. You may get views, but it does not necessarily mean that
More traffic.
these people are, yeah, it doesn't mean that they're going to convert into sales or more followers. Like you kind of just spend your money for more impressions and more views, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. And there's different uh ad tools that you can use to really enhance all of this. But I feel like what is provided for social media, it's low key a scam. But I might do some boosted posts for like my event for next month, maybe, and see if that gonna do something. But I don't know.
Hey,
Mhm,
well, whatever you're comfortable with.
mhm,
It seems like I'm even seeing people dispute the whole how many hashtags to use. And I saw a few different blogs saying if you want more interaction, have over 10. And then but then having up to like 5 is also kind of quicker responding. But it doesn't seem to always take into account whether you're a business profile versus uh, how you have your followers set up. So
yeah. Also, like speaking on that, there's a lot of videos when, because even today, I think I was searching, I guess, like different methods to uh, like keep the non-followers that watch my reels. I'm like, well, how do I get those people to turn into followers? And then the people that are giving the advice are like, well, maybe you need to do a get ready with me. And it's always just like, and especially
there
if
you
it's
go.
girls making content, they're always talking about like skincare and selling products and stuff.
Fashion.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not that kind of girl. And also, this is a business page that's more service based and you guys coming to my events based. So I'm like, so how do we do this for people that are actual business owners and give good advice that they can actually use? Honestly, I'm thinking about this now. I might use that for something. Might
There
turn
you
that
go.
into you
Something
probably
good
turn that
came out of
into
this
a
interview.
workshop. Oh no. I was like, maybe write that down. I could turn that into
Zsari's
some work.
upcoming Monday just got well.
I'm like, huh. I just thought of something. Yeah, but that's yeah, just having more things that are actually aligned with people that are starting a different type of business than a product based business because it's very different. Because I've also tried that before and realized that was not for me because it's too tedious.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it
editing,
can be.
editing is tedious, but at least I can stop and I can hold
Mhm.
off on posting something. But
Do it in steps.
if you have to make a product and then someone and you have to ship it by the next day, that's a lot. Like I can't. I did
Yeah.
that and I did not like it.
Yeah. I wish there was a shortcut with creating your own materials and discounts on shipping for those who do it commonly. I really don't know how many who have done it for years doing the third party resellers.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know either. I mean, kudos to people that can do that. I remember there was a time where I used to see these photos of these girls sitting in their living room and their entire floor is filled with like packages that they're going to ship off. I'm like, oh my God, that just looks like so much money they just made. But I was just thinking about how much labor that cost and how much labor how much time that took just to do that. Like, no. So now I'm like, I'm working smarter, not harder.
There you go.
Yes.
Where did the 127 in your brand come from?
So 127 is an angel number that means
Mm,
manifesting your dreams into reality. And I got it tattooed on my wrist.
nice
I did it
commitment.
2 years ago.
It's what.
Very much. And the thing is, I've been seeing this number my entire life in different places. And
Mm.
the first time I noticed it was like at one of my aunt's house, and my cousin and I were watching. I didn't know I was pregnant. This is the days when I wanted to be an OBGYN. And I remember when like we'll be in bed and those episodes used to come on really late at night. And I remember turning to the cable clock and it would say 127. And every night I would always see it. I'm like, why do I always see 127? And then eventually I realized that the address of the house was 12700. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then I started seeing the number or the time every day. And so, and then I'll see it in stores and on TV shows. And I'm just like, this number has to mean something for me to see it everywhere. Because it's just like, your mind is, if like you're driving and you're looking for red cars. Oh no. And then you just start seeing red cars everywhere. That's like me in 127. So I ended up getting this tattoo just to remind me of its meaning because I felt like it meant something.
This can't be coincidental anymore. Yeah.
I was like, it really can't be. And I'm like, and also because can you hear my dog in the back?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, great. Cause she's I don't know what she's barking at. Um but yeah, so I've been seeing
She's
this.
barking because she's a big fan of your brand.
There's a dog outside and barking and she just got to instigate.
Fortunately, listeners will be happy to know they can't hear any of that annoyance.
Okay, that's great. But yeah, like I was saying, 127, I've been seeing it everywhere. And because I've actually had so many businesses that have done leading up to Vision 127, and they always failed. They failed in that I just didn't want to
Underperformed.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
underperformed. They didn't fail because I'm like, I
Well,
just
we're a
didn't
positive show, but
continue.
we're also honest. Okay, no, it's fine.
I just didn't continue it because I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Creating physical products. So me calling it Vision 127 was for me to be like, okay, this was my vision. I have a vision for what I really want to do. And it's going back to my roots of TV and radio and event management. And let's figure out if I can turn this into an actual business. And
Instead of ask for permission or work yourself to
mhm,
death like you'd done in the past. I saw that
yeah,
you used to have a website, thebrandingpb.com. That doesn't
yeah,
seem
the
to,
branding playbook. Hmm.
is that still a thing, or is that
No, of course
no?
not.
Okay. No.
No, but that was it was pretty much the last thing I did before Vision 127. Because this was when I was still in grad school, so this was 2 years ago. Um,
Gotcha. Hey,
if I
no.
just say it very quickly, I had a skincare business and that I started 2020, did that for a year, and was like, oh my gosh, I don't really like the process of creating. Well, the creating it was fun, but trying to sell it and not really knowing who my audience was and not really knowing if the products were really working the way that
Mm,
the ingredients said that it was supposed to work.
you didn't want to have any other liable kind of
Yeah, I'm like, I
stuff.
didn't want to be like, I'm gonna tell you this
I'm
is it's
selling you
gonna,
this stuff, but I don't necessarily use it. And that's always a tough
uh-huh,
trade-off. It's like, well, I've been
yeah,
asked to endorse it, but
mm-hmm. And like, I don't want to be that type of business owner who's just selling stuff and you also don't feel like is useful to you. So
Mhm.
I ended up disbanding that. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I can just create um the packaging for these products because I got a Cricut machine. If you don't know what that is, it's literally a cutting machine, and there's all these different settings that you can cut for t-shirts and vinyl and all these different levels. And I was like, I can do this. I love using my Cricut. And that's where I created the branding playbook, in which I think, first of all, I come up with very great business names. I'm always going to come up with something. But that's what the
Tip of the
branding
tongue.
playbook was. Yeah, I'm like, anyone, like you have a business idea, I was like, let me think of something because I'm sure I can get you something that sounds cool. But that's what I was doing during grad school. And the reason why I stopped doing that because I was making t-shirts and then also like branding products. I had she wasn't a bad client, but she ordered like 100 custom boxes. The woman's logo was really intricate and it took a very long time to cut. And then I had to paste it on the boxes. That just took entirely too long. I underpriced it. And this was also during finals season. So I'm doing all this physical work when I need to be studying. And that was just stressing me out. And then she was stressing me out. And then eventually I was just like, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. So then I just stopped. And then literally January of 2022, God, yeah, was when I I was watching some video from a woman named Marie Forleo. And she's the one who, well, I'm gonna just say she's the one who introduced me to understanding what being a multi-passionate is. After I stopped the branding playbook, I was like, what is wrong with me? There's got to be something wrong that every time I create a business or try to do something, I always end up stopping and it just never ends up being anything. And basically, being a multi passionate is literally having multiple passions pretty much equally and just that's just who you are. There's a lot of creative people that are multi-passionate.
We'll return after these messages.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
That don't even really realize it, or it seems like it's a bad thing that you have all these different passions, or you're too multifaceted, and it's just like, I would rather have multiple things I'm good at than to just only do one thing for the rest of my life. That's so mundane. Like, I don't want that to be my life. But basically, it just made me realize that all the things leading up to Vision 127 were just hobbies in the moment that I found fun to do, and I did it and was trying to turn it into a business, but it wasn't meant to be one. And that's my lesson from doing all of those different things and realizing I really don't, I didn't have to do that and try to sell this because I didn't really see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So why would this be a business, you know?
And at least you found out ahead of time versus you've been doing this for way too many years and it's eating up, and it's the last thing you want is more stress, depression, anxiety.
Yeah. But also when you're in your 20s, it's like you're just trying to figure out like who you are, what is it that you want to do, what's your purpose. And I was really just going through a phase in 2022, just like, who am I?
I don't want to be by the numbers.
What is the reason?
Right.
What is the reason for everything?
What is my motivation to get up this morning other than make a dime?
Because I'm also very spiritual too. So like, I'm a Christian girly, and I was just like, I feel like God had given me the vision, and I was like, nothing makes sense that I'm doing now is not bringing me to what that vision is. Like,
it doesn't
none
feel
of
like any path to follow.
And I also felt like there's no job I could find that could create what Vision 127 is. And I was trying so hard, and I'm like, I have to create this because it's gonna, help me develop the skills that I used to hate back in the days. However, this is what I'm doing now. So that's also part of my motivation, is actually being faithful and be like, you know what? This is what the vision was. Oh, do you see her?
I do. It's a beautiful duck. She's your biggest fan. So now these are some very key topics I think you have just brought up, because it does seem like many will go to the university or just community college and they expect like points 1, 2, 3 to be there when they get to the end of the tunnel after 2 to 4 years. And it's at the end really just like any mentoring or tutoring, it's just a suggestion. You still got to find your own voice, but like you say, we don't really know it until we're actually in the thick of it and we're realizing I still don't know what me is or what my job profession should be. Yeah.
I feel like in college, I be joking that it's a scam because I'm in a lot of student debt. But I feel like it's really just the stepping stone for you becoming a young adult, and it's just like, this is all the different things that you could do with your life. And it's
and everyone's experience is different.
There's nothing wrong with you having some direction as to what you could be doing. But in 2024, that's very different now, because people are literally saying, I'm passionate about something. I'm going to just create it my own, or I'm actually going to find directly what I'm looking for instead of me having to go to college to try to figure it out. Because school is really just you educating yourself on many different things. Like, it's not preparing you for the actual real world. Because there's so many times I'm like, I wish I was back in college. I feel like life was just great. Like, yes, I was in school, but I didn't have the real life adult responsibilities like I do now.
So you just want to break from just kind of listen to some cool person to follow.
Like, oh my gosh, like it was great then. But yeah, definitely it's not for everyone. So I don't know. And I think it obviously does matter what your field is. We don't want no stupid doctors. So, but I think if you're a creative,
No, that's a good point too. I do see a lot of people doing who were like victims of a scam that was pretending to be a college, and it seems like people also make this unrealistic comparison that, or just label that because I am this or that, I have all the answers to this. It's like, well, this person's only as good as their experience. They may be good at this law degree or this doctor degree, but it's their first year, so there's no telling where they're gonna excel at.
I think that's something that for me, I just always want to make sure that I stay humble and
Humble is so
also
underrated.
just very self-aware of just who I am as a person, because even going to school for marketing, I realized there's so many people on Instagram and TikTok that are trying to tell people how I can help you get 10,000 followers if you do this method. Please join my webinar. You join the webinar and you're like, oh, this is all great information. The one thing that you need to know. And then they're like, oh, buy my course or get this class or get a one-on-one.
You went for
me.
5 steps and you're like, I'm not sure I want the answer.
I just
now.
spent an hour here listening to you saying all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that this is the strategy for you to make your sales, but I do not like that model, because you're just selling people things that, are you even for sure know you can do that? Like,
it's a lot of style, and if you haven't delivered on any kind of even a quarter of substance, it's just like
And then from what I know about marketing, it's constantly changing, and what you could think works for you may not work for other people. And you can't just guarantee anything, and especially when it comes to views or followers, because you can't make people follow you. And also these views and impressions, those numbers make no sense to me, because sometimes I feel like they're not real people that are watching videos. Because how is it that
there are a lot
I
of
just
bots.
posted it? Like, how I just posted this video and it's got 100 views, 1 like, that makes no sense to me. So yeah,
absolutely. If you don't feel like there's any sort of legitimacy, then it's just like thought it works for you, I would discourage this.
Yeah, it is.
I want to connect with people first before we talk business. My father has studied all kinds of marketing throughout his life, and he ditched the whole certain kind of brand ambassador stuff. Is like, okay, I'm not gonna be your friend and then sell you something. It's just not. It's gonna get awkward. So I'm gonna try this kind of marketing and this kind of. That's why he excelled at just like website kind of development, because there's always someone who needs it. There's not. Some people are going to put you out of work or challenge you because they're going to do it all themselves, but there's always going to be someone who's like, hey, I'd like to have an outsider's experience be connected to my business. But this is where it's also it's just kind of annoying having there be kind of a luck of the draw. It's like, well, how do I know if this is going to be a good year? There's all this other kind of what ifs that play into it that you don't really want invading your life.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, even me posting all these videos now, all these interviews, I'm just trying to remember the purpose of why I even started creating these interviews for the first place.
You still got your soul and your heart ticking,
Yeah, because if I was just like, I'm trying to get views, like, forget you people, like, That's just
I'm going
awful.
to
That's bad
anger
business.
everybody and not come downstairs and
Mm-hmm.
not going to eat,
Like,
not going to get any
like,
sleep.
yeah, I just don't want to be that person. Because even there's a video that I want to make too, but like, I don't want to, once my business starts to grow and get to the place that I'm actually looking to get to, I don't want to become that person where I make it and then I forget where I came from and I forget why I even created all this in the first place. Because I mean, I reached out to different influencers before to even do the show, and I'm like, look, I know I'm under 1,000 followers right now, but what happens if I blow up beyond you and then you come back and you're like, oh, I would love to be on your
Yeah, it's
like
practically a still.
I don't want to do that. Like, because for me, if even now and when I do get bigger, because I will, um,
I
if
love that. I
someone
love that go
came
get it attitude.
right, because if
There is
someone
no
came,
if, there
yeah,
will.
I cannot do that, or then nothing will ever happen. You just always
Yeah.
be in limbo, just sad and depressed. Like nothing works for me.
Well, I really related to your story
Mhm.
earlier where you were just like, hey, this I've given this my time. I need to reverse course. Because
Mhm.
I did so I do that. I did that anytime I was at a job. I was like, okay, I got a sense of the landscape and everything. I'm gonna try this out. But then there were other ones where it's like, okay, it's been 2 hours here, nothing is clicking. You restated it different ways.
Mhm.
It's probably not a fit. I don't think it has anything to do with how you're teaching it to me or how I'm paying attention. It's just stressing me out. It's not, and I'm gonna probably underperform because it's not me. So
Yeah.
it is interesting having to just kind of you see so many people do the whole you didn't try hard enough or this isn't good enough. It's like, well, if you have spent a lot of time on it, it is okay to just say, okay, trying out this or that. I'm trying out something else. You know, if I feel comfortable coming back to this, I will. But for now, like
Mhm.
yeah, I did do the time and it's just not clicking. I don't know what it is. That'd be another conversation for another day. It is interesting
Yeah.
having to just kind of remind everybody, it's just like, hey, just you're not giving up, but it is okay to instead of going through door number one or two, let's go through a third door. Let's create a third option here.
Yeah. That's what I always do that because I'm
You might
like,
as well instead of ask permission
because
to exist.
yeah, and it's also there's just a lot of trial and error. You just have to
Yeah,
keep on trying and see what sticks. So that's basically what I'm doing. And
bingo.
it took me many years to get there, and so that's what I'm doing now.
But don't feel a sense of just I can't do it at all. It's like, well, then you have tried. You really have tried.
Hmm. Hmm. And I must say though that I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people when I first was starting out with the skincare business, and then it just kept on turning into different things. Because I'll post it on my business page, but then on my personal page and share what, on my story and stuff. And I just know a lot of people were probably like, oh, here she go again with something new. It's always something new this year. Like, why is she always doing this? But it's just like, look, maybe you're not trying to figure out what else you want to do with yourself, but I am. I'm trying to see if this is what
I'm
y'all like or
sorry you're
not.
jealous. I'm sorry you don't like
I'm
me.
sorry you're jealous.
I'm sorry I don't even know you and you decided to invade this
Hmm.
conversation. I don't know why
Like,
we're here.
like we only live here once. Like, why can't I try
Yeah,
different things?
no kidding.
Like, the least I could do is be like, And also, there's nothing wrong with that. And also,
No,
a lot of strangers will support you than your own closest friends or family. So just like, this is not for you anyways.
that's the other weird thing too. What have you noticed when it comes to like I've done this for instance with the podcast is like, and I've kind of done this in general. Like, okay, I'm saying a lot of words and you're giving me a confused look, which means none of this is making any sense, and you don't have the heart to tell me this isn't making sense yet. So not to predict your words or put you on the spot or make you look like a jerk, but I'm going to talk about something else that does click with you. You know, like you're not a movie guy, you're not a TV guy, you're not a music person. So all you know, you listen to it, but you don't get detailed, and that's okay. It's just not for you. So I mean, I see a lot of people it kind of goes both ways. It's kind of like I can be the teacher or I can be the student, or I can just be in a certain area where again, we all different kinds of personas coexist. When I promote a podcast, I'm not expecting everyone to listen to it, but I am at the same time trying to entertain and put on a good show, make sure it's ready to listen. But there's so many other factors that I still am going to encounter people who are going to like it, but I know for sure, like, to your earlier point, they're not going to actually check out your business or check out your content. So it's just like, okay, it's a half success, but I'd like to do better. So, you were pretty good at just kind of summing up though that it's just the interactivity is just that's overall what we're all looking for. Well, we're not doing this to talk to ourselves, obviously, you know.
No, definitely not. And I think for my show, I'm really just trying to make sure, because my audience is creatives of all kinds. I don't care what it is. And I think that creatives, I feel like you kind of get overlooked. Is that the word?
I know.
Underlooked don't sound right. Hold on.
I mean,
but I feel like
I mean, I see people who sometimes frown on the term social media influencer. I'm like, well, that's part of the deal. You know, that's just as
that's just what we are. It's funny because one of my cousins, she is an influencer, and she was helping me the other day, like, oh, how you want to start pricing, monetizing your content in the future when you start building and stuff. And she's like, so do you like call yourself an influencer? And I'm like, me? No. I'm like, I don't have that many followers. I'm like, no, but I feel like the way that I'm going, because I am literally a social media personality now.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be. But
once we get done with this chat, I guarantee you I'm going to blow up social media.
I'm also like really scared of what that may look like. Because like when people like start to have their opinions on you and, all that kind of stuff, I'm very sensitive. I'm like, oh no, you don't like my voice? I also don't.
I think you have a very charming voice, but that's just me.
Thank you.
There might be 20 other guys who. This is where it's really. This isn't much of a question, but it's interesting having to see who has a legit opinion versus who is just a bot.
Really?
Trying to just pick on the first person they see that has that hashtag, that has that whatever popped up in their feed, whatever promoted post, I take it as I don't like the whole any attention is good attention. As like, okay, well, you're here.
I don't want that. No.
I'm sorry you're giving me the worst possible thing you can tell anyone.
No, I really just want people, when they're watching my content, to feel inspired, to actually show people what it is that they do so that they can get customers, they can get clients, people can come to their events, whatever it is that they're trying to promote, so that they don't feel like they're alone. Because I'm just thinking about like me starting off, like when you're starting a new business, or especially on social media, all you want is to get noticed and for someone to know what it is that you do. Because not only, even if you're still trying to figure out what it is that you do, once other people are acknowledging it, that also gives you the motivation to continue and to be like, okay, because this person says this is so great and they want to see this, I'm going to make sure that I do that, because marketing and just having a business is all about making sure that you're catering to your client and your customer base, your followers, all those people. So yeah, I just want to make sure that whoever is watching the content that I'm creating, that they feel supported, because like I said, I'm creating what I would have hoped to have. So,
That's a good point too. It's like this
Mhm.
is it's kind of like when you're rating, was this good food service? Was this good lawn care? I was like, well, I'm treating you the way I would expect to be treated if I did the work myself instead of paying someone. It is kind of a
Mhm.
weird kind of being grateful mixing in with realistic expectations. And I'm glad you brought that up because I used to have
Mhm.
a late relative who would do the blame game. She would make it personal.
Mhm.
And I was like, you
Mm.
cannot do that. That this person, oh, yes, he or she came out to wrong me. I'm like, no,
Um,
they just had bad information. So they didn't do a proper installment of the, whole equipment. Or, yes, they brought
yeah.
your pizza, but it was cold. But they're just, it's kind of like the whole don't shoot the messenger, you know?
Yeah.
It's just doing their job. If you were unimpressed, maybe tip below 5, but don't give them nothing, like there.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
saw so many people, oh, they're just asking for more, this and that, being a ripoff. I'm like, you need to do a reevaluate how this all actually
Mhm.
works. This is
Yeah.
nothing
I
personal.
know
This
people like that too. Like they
it's the
feel
biggest
everyone's
misinformation.
always
Yeah,
out to get them.
yeah.
Mhm.
Or they do the whole they're goading me into this. It's too good to be true. I'm like, no, this isn't even part of the sales pitch. This is literally just how it's always been.
Yeah. It's okay. Some people just won't understand. It's fine.
Some people just want to be awful to other people who are actually doing their best possible thing they can do under the circumstances. All I'll say is
Mhm.
you try mixing all kinds of things when it comes to driving, transporting, lifting goods. And as you have discussed before, where you found out that wasn't for you, it's like creating the goods and then having to do all the shipping and delivery and extra communication. It's
Yeah.
uh, when I started this podcast, I took one look, is like, what kind of mic do I need? What's in my budget? I did a test podcast with some other beloved pals. Long story short, I didn't dig our group. One was focused on the video, the other was focused on hearing how she sounded, and I was just like, we're not doing enough. This isn't a show. Nothing personal. I will always help you out with other creative stuff. They're really good
Yeah.
filmmakers, in my opinion. But it was one of those, is like, yeah, when it comes to podcasts, I'm doing pretty much all the research, and I'm not going to keep driving here. I'm not.
Yeah.
So would it have been any different?
That is a valid thing.
If we had done
Because
Skype or Zoom at the time, it really wouldn't have been any different. I was like,
yeah,
I think
sometimes the vibes are just not there,
it just,
you know.
I gave this 7 go rounds. I think we should stall for now. But that was a good training for me, is like, okay, so now I know how much time I'm going to put into this. And when I'm doing 5 shows a week, I want to make sure there's a theme, there's all kind of connected, and I have enough time to make Zsari, my guest here, and all the others, make them sound good. And
Thank you.
also not, I come prepared with enough just questions like, what would I want to be asked in this scenario, instead of, well,
Yeah.
gee, how'd you get into this? No, anyone could have asked that. Um, and I'm so glad both of us are still on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, what do you think has changed the most about that? I had no idea for the longest time. They were sharing video. Now it's almost kind of become like a contrast to Facebook in a way, is like, share your personal story. And if you want to
Yeah.
create a blog here. Whoa, hey, that was not here ago. It used to be connect, but no one interacts.
Yeah.
We're friends, but
I just
he's up in Malaysia, she's in New Jersey, I'm in visiting Brooklyn. Yeah, it Well, what have you liked the most about these new add-on features?
Um, well, I was using LinkedIn heavily during the job search process.
Just check it.
But and yeah.
But it's hard
um
keeping up with all the different birthday notifications and everything. You're like, oh
mhm.
shoot. I
Because
didn't.
I was doing a lot of like reaching out to people and stuff, and you know how the LinkedIn the random people that send messages like, who are y'all? Like, I
There is
don't
a
know
bit
who
of
you
that,
are.
but it doesn't
But I
seem to
do
be
like
as frantic as it used to be. Because for a while they would
Mhm.
kind of be a conversation starter, but it's like I don't know who I'm conversing with. Hi,
Mhm.
but who is this again?
Yeah, and this now they're just like, yeah, we can do this for you.
There
Let
is a
us
bit
know
of
if you
that.
want. You're just like, all right, I really don't care.
No thanks.
But I feel like I've met a lot of like great connections off of
Met a
LinkedIn
few. Yeah.
that I just like never thought I would know.
Where is
Like
this person?
you know who Bootsy Collins is? He was first of all, I
Bootsy
don't even want to
Collins.
butcher.
I had a cat named Bootsy.
He
American basis. Wow.
like a music artist from back in the
Whoa.
days.
Whoa. Yikes. Man, from Funkadelic. Wow. And the
Yeah.
JVs. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're friends on LinkedIn. And I was like, that's so random. Like we're first connections. I'm like, how does this even
A
happen?
celebrity who you never thought would even use the platform.
Yeah, this old man. But actually when I think about it, yes, I was using LinkedIn a lot when I was in my music industry phase. Because there's a lot of people like aspiring music professionals that are on there. Literally, they'll make a post and then people will comment and be like, "Oh, you should apply for this place or you should apply for this grant or something." And I was all in there, and they had like the Discords links that you can go to. So I feel like when people listen to this pod, it's gonna sound like, "Oh, what are all the different sides? What does she do?" um, but
You're at
during
least gathering how everyone's on there.
yeah, because
What
I'm just thinking about like all the different things that I have like done like leading up to Vision 127. Because originally the purpose was because now it's a creative development and events company. Before it was artist development because I was obsessed with the idea of working with independent artists. And
yes.
I'm a dancer and I was like, you know what? To me, stage presence is so important. I feel like I have a really great ear for music since I've been doing this for years and
Go for it.
editing audio and all that stuff.
Be featured on
And
a indie music chart.
yeah, so like so I had signed up for well, it's a certificate. It's from NYU, a music industry essentials. I got that. I'm like, okay, at least I have this. So if I decided I want to work in the music industry, at least I got something. I know a little bit of like the
You
background
tried it
of
out. It was
what the
fun.
music industry stuff. And I mean, I still nowadays I just feel like I'm very adjacent to it because I realized I was trying to do development with the artists, but I couldn't figure out what the right service was and how to price it because a lot of indie artists don't have money like that. And
Hmm.
then I'm like, well, if you're gonna work with me, like I have to rent out a
It's
studio. Like I
becoming
don't
too
have a
much like
studio.
the fiber thing where I'm like,
Yeah.
do I
I just
really
felt
have
like it
to
was gonna
calculate all my hours?
be
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna feel like it was more overhead, like trying to get the right studio. And I also felt like part of it was also imposter syndrome. Like I
Hmm.
know a lot about the industry, but I'm not in it really. So for me to be telling you how to do X, Y, and Z when like I've seen it, but it's not like I got 10 years of proof or of experience to tell you that this is how you should do this. But that's why I also was like, I want to focus on stage presence and performance because that's what I know for sure in marketing.
Do
But
you have
then that was
any?
also a lot.
Did you ever
Mhm.
have any music or dancing icons growing up? Who inspired you?
Dancing icons.
Yeah.
Well,
There's all the Misty Copelands of the world after all.
So I feel like when it comes to just like music and like just performing at award shows and stuff, like I feel like that was the kind of stuff I was really into. But I'm a big Janet Jackson fan when she was in her prime.
Mm.
She was super sexy and she could dance. And I'm like, huh. Mm-hmm. Stage presence is there. And it's funny because like she's a very shy person. You like watch interviews of her and you're just like, girl, have you forgotten you performed in front of millions of people?
It
Like,
didn't happen
really
overnight
talks
either.
like she's
Yeah.
and like your entire family is like music royalty. Like she just act like she's extremely humble. So I feel like she really is a big inspiration to me. Not only
Nice.
for like performance, but just like personality. And also I think the style of music that I like, or the type of artists that I like, are not powerhouse
Mm.
artists. And I had told my boyfriend that the other day, because I was like, you know what? I think that's why I like Janet, because like her music is very calming and you still can dance, and you know, and she's also like a good person. But like other people like water, like real over the top, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I just want to just be vibing and just chill out. So
Well,
there's a lot of artists now there. I like that.
there's a
I don't like all
person
of them,
who
but
kind of is varied on what they're remembered for, and it's like, well, let's look back at my accomplishments instead of what you don't like about me right now.
because they say like a lot of, I guess, at least for the younger Black artists that are singers, not necessarily like Normani or Kaylani, just like random people, Tiana Taylor, people that sing and dance. They say that Janet is the blueprint for
Eh,
for creating that type of vibe. Like anyone who's showing their stomach and their abs is probably from Janet, because that's what she did back in the days. And I feel like she's very underrated.
Even if they didn't
Uh,
watch much or listen to much of her, they have some kind of
mhm,
inspiration. And that's the other
mhm.
thing too. You see people who are being compared and they hate when they're being compared. And it's like it's a compliment or
It
it's
is.
just an evaluation, even if that's not what you're going for.
Because I mean, the thing is about music, a lot of people are going to sound similar regardless. And a lot of people also try to be so different that it's like you have a very specific audience that's not going to expand beyond
Yeah,
that.
no kidding.
So yeah, that's like she's my inspiration in that kind of way. But I feel like that's kind of just evaluating all that and then seeing different artists. And I'm like, y'all just not up to par.
We ain't cool.
I'm just like, because to me, like performance is so important to me. And there's a lot, and I always say this, I'm like, you can make a fire track in the studio, but if you can't perform it live, then like, what was all this for?
Yeah.
And a lot of like younger artists or newer artists are performing on stage and they're like lip syncing or just like
Oh,
singing
jeez.
over the track, and they're off key, and like it just don't sound good.
I don't
It don't
even
sound like the
know
studio. Like I don't know why you're doing it.
how do even just people judge a talent show when half the time you're seeing people who are doing copies of copies, you know?
And it's like, what
It's
is
not even a
it?
tribute. It's just not even a
Mhm.
homage. It's I'm doing a cover of someone who clearly did better.
It's like it's not it. But I'm grateful though because I've been meeting, like I said, music industry adjacent. And even when I started Vision 127, like when I decided to, actually when I started Vision 127, I'm like, I'm still adjacent. I don't say this is a record label, nothing. Like I'm just here to help, and then they can go off and do whatever they want to do. But I've been meeting a lot of like independent artists that are here in Dallas that are very
So many.
talented, and I'm just like, you know what? I really hope that my platform can help these people too, so more people can hear their voice, and not just the platform, but the events that I'm hosting and I plan to host in the future too. I literally just want to be that creative hub that's like, all right, we're not going to focus on me necessarily. It's all about what it is that y'all want, because I get more satisfaction out of seeing other people fulfilling their dreams and doing what
Let's
it is
clean
that
the
they want to
slate.
do.
What do you want? Can we
Like,
get
what
it?
is it that y'all want to do? Because, like, and then there's also a lot of people that are looking for things to do in
Yes.
Dallas. And I'm like, okay, so that's like right now I'm in the phase of trying to figure out, like, okay, I could help people on like content creation side and do some workshops surrounding different topics of creativity. And then I have the content, which is its own thing, and then events. I'm like, I just want to create more events and really feel like I'm building a community of people so that they can come in, and don't matter who you are, you can share, you can meet more people. Because for me as a creative, I get inspired when I'm around other creatives,
Bingo.
like instantly. Like that's what I need to feel. And there's also a lot of creative communities and events that are out here, but I'm also the type of person where I'm like, I want to be different from everyone else, and I'm gonna figure out how to do that, because
Instead of
I don't want
just
to be another business that's like, oh, I have another networking event.
yeah.
Okay, what different is yours from mine? Like, it's all the same
Don't be the
thing.
20th person to share their card.
So, um, yeah.
Lovely. And why do you think you've had the amount of support that you've had?
Um,
And how has that shaped your goals, do you think?
well, I think it's funny because like I feel like I have a lot of people around me that are not necessarily like me.
Mm.
Um, Yet they're still very supportive, and they're like, look, we know that you're capable of a lot and you deserve to be able to do what it is that you want to do. But when it comes to like actually being supported by people within the creative field, it just makes me feel very good that they recognize what it is that I'm doing, and they feel like, oh yeah, I'm glad that you're doing this, because I've definitely had like testimonials for different initiatives I've done over the last few months of, and people are just like, this is such a great thing that you've done. I'm glad that I came. Like last fall, I created um a dance fitness class, a
Oh,
dance
wow.
fitness and therapy class called
There you
Rhythm
go.
Therapy. It's under the Vision 127 umbrella. So I'm like, you know what? I think as creatives and just, regular people too want to
You're already
come.
technically doing your own dance business-wise, so
uh
here you are with
And just, I mean, the purpose of rhythm therapy was to do some cardio to just, because I'm a dancer, but I don't be working out and I don't dance like I used to either.
2-in-1.
So I was feeling like I was losing my rhythm. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And then the second half of the class was what's it called? Like a meditation session.
Mm.
So everyone who came into the class, um, I have them write down on a piece of paper what is one thing that they want to release from the week. So it's like some negativity, like something bad happened. I want them to like write it down, and then they'll hand it to me. And then the second half of the class, I'll turn that into an affirmation.
Have
So
this
we'll
be a
just like all
Zumba
stand
type
there.
class, a meditation kind of.
And then meditation afterwards. And I remember, I think the first one I did, because I'm doing the same, having them repeat these affirmations to me, and we'll be like I deserve to be happy and abundant or something, and something like that. And the testimonials I was getting, like, I actually cried. I was like, oh.
Hey, that's a reward. It's
I'm
like, you
like,
did
not
good.
that I want you to cry, but also that's great. That means that I'm actually doing something that you felt like you're actually moved,
It's tears of
and
joy.
that was
It's nothing
exciting
wrong
to
with
me.
that. Yeah.
Um, so I do plan on bringing back rhythm therapy this year, but my biggest issue with everything I'm doing with Vision 127 now is because my ideas are so big. I'm realizing that I really do need help. And I'm like, there's a lot that I can be doing and running at the same time, but it's only just me. And I mean, I do have people that are helping me, but I'm like, I need a solid team that will be like, look, I'll handle rhythm therapy for you. I'll
You want
handle
to
the
have
program,
free others who you
you
can
know.
train to follow your
Yeah.
lead.
Yeah, because like I don't want to be in 5 places at once. So also for anyone who is just aspiring to be an entrepreneur and really just trying to figure out what it is that you want to do. And if you are multi-passionate and you have a lot of things that you want to do, like it's not a bad thing for you to really just hone in on one thing first and work your way to the next thing. And when I first was starting, I was like, how you gonna tell me I have to only do one thing? No, you really should, because focus on this one thing first, build it up, and then move on to the next thing. Because that's at least going to be solid before you move on. And then, because if you're just creating all these different things and then nothing happens, like, or the one thing starts to fall away. And I don't want that to be rhythm therapy, because I'm still getting feedback from it. They're like, bring it back. I'm like, I want to, but I don't have time. Like, it's just me instructing. Like, I need, additional bodies.
Need some extra resources, yeah. I
So
wish you the
like,
best on that. I think
mhm,
latch onto that audience, keep them.
yeah. But also too, because everything I'm doing with Vision 127 is community based, I have to focus on building the community first before trying to offer all these additional things. And I feel like that's what I'm doing with when creators connect. Like, I'm meeting all these new people. Like, now you're part of my Vision, my 127 fan. Also, I have this too that you can be a part of too, So I think that's a part of community building, is actually thinking of like, okay, I do this first. This is how I start funneling you guys into these other things, instead of having like 5 things and be like, choose one. No.
No more having to play roulette. You're just like,
Yeah, that's what it felt like. So now that's what I'm just focusing on, is when creators connect and just building up the content, and then getting my community. So when I have my event is coming up next month. So I'm like, oh, y'all, come do that now. So now you're here. This is what else I got going on. It's all a part of a process now. It really took a long time to get here, to really understand. Like, this is the marketing side that I didn't really understand. That you have to be very strategic and don't
very
try to do
particular.
everything, and not try to do everything all at once, because it's going to be a problem in the future. So
That's
we
the
actually
earworm.
acknowledging
That's
that.
the audio bite of the overall chat.
Yeah. So
So we've learned a lot here. We've learned how to be in multiple places, but not do more than you can keep up with. We've talked about combining interests with passion and the dime. And then now you pretty much have ended it on testing the waters and then deciding this can happen. I'm going to keep that open. I'll potentially return to that, but now I know the extra resources and I need a team. So now it's time to recruit the team and teach them my tricks.
Because I feel like I have an ADHD brain. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I need someone.
We
to
all
hold
kind
me
of have
down.
a variation of it. It's just
like, please just hold me down. So
one thing is interesting 1 minute, and then by lunchtime you're like, "Oh, I don't know what it is about today, but I might clock out early."
Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, that happens. Oh my gosh.
True. It's true. Okay, well, this was delightful, and I hope you got some reward kind of sharing your voice. I learned something. I learned many things. I learned you made the best of your college. And
I did
I mean,
now. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did college, but I felt underwhelmed by it, other than the degree. So I mean, it's interesting how you kind of used a few other stepping stones to kind of alleviate any of the stress you were feeling in the moment.
Mm-hmm. I really did.
If anything, I mean, just about everybody has worn different hats, but not everyone looks as fondly at acquiring all the different skills they feel really matter. So, if anything, Jari's dancing class, it's going to be a thing. But
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny because like I'm always thinking about this. Like, I've done a lot in the past, but I'm grateful for all these skills because it's either I can still use it for something or I could teach it to somebody else. So if anyone was hating on me and being like, oh, she's doing too much, like, look, I have new skills. Now I'm helping other people. And so you can say whatever you want, but this is like what I'm doing for other people now. And because now I have all this knowledge, it can't go to waste.
yeah, it's not going to go to waste because you're you. You're an awesome version of you, and you're going to keep using it for your brand until you don't want to do this anymore. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not like asking you to like the brand. In fact, I'm just asking you try it out.
And tell
You
me how
keep,
it is, and then if not,
and you're going to keep doing it because you like doing it. So there's an cinema alone outside of the, you know, making the business work.
absolutely.
Man, oh man. So pretty insightful and good to know that someone is fighting the good fight
I'm
and
trying. I really am
not,
trying.
I think you've gone beyond the trying. I think you've already been, you've gone beyond the stepping stones by always repeating it back to yourself saying, hey, I'm not going to give iffy answers. There's yes, and there's everything else. And I'm you hate the word miracles. You made that pretty clear at the start. It's like, no, miracles, daydreams, that's not who I am. I want actual legit stuff set in stone instead of having it fade into pixie dust.
Yeah, like you just have to try it in order for you to see if it's going to be real or not.
I create my own kind of magic instead of praying that there's something out there that works for me. You know, you talked about your faith, but that's just part of who you are versus I'm using this to shield me from something that's becoming a problem or just doing it because it's a cool thing to do. It's like, no, this is me. It's instilled in me. This is part of my DNA. So
It is. That's what it feels like. There's no other way.
it's you, baby. So this really was pretty fascinating, I think, just because whenever we get content creators and just other business, you know, it's just we can talk the talk and everything, but it really came down to eyes on the prize, and you decided to sum up why you made all these different goals and what you felt you actually accomplished. So we got pretty real here.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for letting me speak.
Absolutely. I try to not ever limit myself. I see so many who do, and I don't understand unless again they've said I've tried this, it hasn't worked for me. Instead of just dismiss. You know?
hmm Yeah, and also since I interview people too, there's so many times when I want to butt in the conversation. I'm like, no, it's all about them.
It's hard.
Only focusing on them right now, because like I want to say additional things, and a lot of people recently have been like, "Oh, di- don't you want to get interviewed too?" I'm like, actually, yes, because I feel like I'm holding myself back.
You
'Cause
love you.
I'm trying to keep the video short for content purposes. Okay.
Fair enough.
hmm
hopefully we were short and direct, but very nice, very nice. So you're welcome back anytime. Maybe if we get another DFW music roundtable, we'll have Zsari answer some of the questions or moderate.
Oh yes. Oh, you're like, so do you know?
What do you know? Oh, seriously, it was a real blessing, and I had no idea where this is going to go. I mean, other than what I was prepping for, but it's just always the interview process is magnetic in a way. It's like, see, hey, hopefully we told a story of some kind. Instead of we went beyond just the I like myself.
Yeah, because it's important to really know people more than just what it is that they do.
We've always talked about this.
I feel like this whole conversation is like my brain, what's constantly going on, like this.
In many ways, you're gonna sleep easier because you're like a bled off an inner part of my voice.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, release.
There's no secret building up. Radio
no,
split.
I like to be an open book because why not? A lot of people are mysterious, and I'm like, okay.
No, absolutely. I have had to talk to guys saying, I don't think you're toxic or anything, but you got to see a therapist at least once in your life. And don't hide behind the I'm a guy, therefore I must always be tough by cliche, by societal expectations. Like, no, if you're in a marriage crisis, if you're in a middle life crisis, if you have done everything and work is just eating you up, you got to talk to someone and you got to find different ways to communicate. It's never too late to. This is not me saying turn your boat around and go back to shore. This is me saying maybe you can find a different way to get to where you get, instead of waiting on the train or going by bicycle, Anything, sometimes it's the smallest thing and it just built up over time. And so now you're having doubts and second thoughts about something else that technically is working, but doesn't necessarily need to be addressed right now, or is working, but there's something else that impacts that. Don't have it be all these dominoes, that affect, and again, easier said than done. There's some people who are like, hey, I have tried it. I don't feel like someone's listening to me. I don't know how to communicate it. It's like, just try it a few times, please. Just so it doesn't bottle up.
Yeah.
And so
I'm very self-aware.
You hit on so many things. You're just like, hey, I don't know what it is, but I don't feel like I should continue a course. I'm going on to a different train track right now.
Like I said, it's very important to be self-aware, because if you just keep on doing things without like thinking,
and you have given yourself some control. I've done this with the podcast. There was a joke I made where I'm like, hey, I didn't mean any harm with that, but I feel like that could be taken out of context. So I'm going to play God, jury, and executioner today and omit that line that I said. Better safe than sorry. And I didn't mean to be cynical, but I'm hearing it back. It sounds like I'm being cynical. We got to be positive here, especially when I said in the opening line, here's a positive chat. Didn't sound too positive there. 50. I always have fun talking about that. I'm sure you do your own notes. It's fun doing the time code, the recording. Where you're like, okay, 51 seconds, the internet went out. So therefore, we got to omit that one blooper where it all goes to black. Save yourself time. And you took up a great chunk of time, and it was beautiful time. It was really just value you and make.
I was just chatting.
You were chatting, but I mean, you also were talking about just do away with the whole dream concept. So I think a lot of people could definitely go with that. That's definitely something I think that gels. Don't, instead of talking about I can do this or making miracles become reality, it's like just there is no dream.
Just
there
do
is,
it.
right?
Just do it.
Yeah.
And then you figure it out if it's for you or not.
Take as much time as you need today and start.
Yeah, that's what we have to do.
Absolutely. Better safe than sorry, as you did also state. So, right. Well, so I'll keep you in the loop. Shouldn't have to wait too long. Let's aim for August. How's that sound to you?
Just short.
And it'll be actually during a music week.
Oh, okay.
After all, you create music. So, well, you work with music creators. You did not create music. You work on your dance. But
Well, technically, I used to make beats, but it's irrelevant.
but also there you go. You might want to continue it again once you find a better editor. You have time and patience with it. I don't know. I
There's
never
so many
thought I
different
would.
sides to my life. It's oh my gosh.
I once did valet. I thought that was it for me in terms of driving jobs. And here I am now doing security based jobs where I drive around to clients' properties and report your property is safe. So
Mm,
I
yeah.
every job complements the other. I never worked cash register again, but I'm sure someone saw my resume. Hey, has customer service experience, even if it was only for a year. So
Yeah.
it probably didn't even have anything to do with that, but you never know. So I loved how you kind of removed a lot of the doubt. There was no head in the clouds tonight. It was all just I'm getting this. But it's not gut instinct anymore. I'm actually asking some exterior questions that are actually coming back and pointing me in a better direction than what I actually had before.
Yep,
Very nice, very nice, very
absolutely.
magnetic. We gelled. Okay. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the night tonight, Zsari. And seriously, that you're welcome back anytime at all. And I hope to meet you at some cool event just because I'm overdue for networking. And I feel like the world is ready to mature a bit because we can't
Mhm.
keep feuding over politics and societal issues and COVID.
I just
So
want to have fun. Like, just have fun.
life is
Oh,
short,
really?
you know?
Yes. Well, speaking of events, I do have one next
Sure.
month on June 29th. It's the 127 Creative Brunch. It's my second year doing it. A lot more people are going to be there this time.
Before you know it, it'll be the
first
third.
time. Yeah.
This year's flying.
Oh my gosh.
We're
It
already
really
in
is.
summer.
I'm finally starting to get like event materials. I'm everyone who's helping me on the event staff, they all got a lanyard now. I'm like, look, this year we're gonna look more professional. Like this is gonna be legit.
Every year's got to be
I'm excited.
different, stand out in its own 2 feet instead of
Yeah. Actually
repeat.
this year, we're doing my game show that's called the Showdown.
Oh, what do you
So
quiz about?
there's gonna be 3 games. Also depends on the timing if we start on time. But the games are it's called Guess That Hum. So there's gonna be 2 teams. One person's gonna hum a song. The team's gotta guess who the artist and I'm like it's gonna be funny because hearing people hum is not gonna be cute. There's gonna be trivia.
It's actually going to be kind of freaky because you're like, I think I know the tune.
Like, oh no. There's gonna be trivia. I have to figure out what kind of questions to ask for that. And then a dance off at the end. It's gonna be based off like different decades or like genres, like different
Oh,
eras
jeez.
of like dances. Yeah, so like this year is very heavily based on audience participation because I'm like, y'all not about to come to this event and not want to dance. Like you have to go on stage.
You have to do something.
So that's my effort of making a networking event a lot different because I've gone to many and I used to work for a networking company and it was just very much like, hi, I do this, handshake, very dry. I'm like, nah, I need entertainment in my life. That's what
Yes.
Vision 127 we're trying to do.
Instead of we have loud music in the background and treats and cookies, and it's like, no, we're doing more.
And also, I'm going to force people to talk to each other.
There you go. Instead of waiting for the clock to wind down.
Yeah, so I already know that day is going to go by so fast.
I applaud your courage.
It's 3 hours and it's going to zoom by. I know. Yeah.
Lovely.
But,
There you go. Get it.
Well, thank you.
Anytime,
This was
anytime.
fun.
Yep.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up